In the golden age of Hollywood, when studio contracts controlled every aspect of a star's public image, some of the most beloved icons lived double lives. Behind the carefully crafted personas and orchestrated romances lay a hidden truth that would have destroyed careers overnight. From the brooding rebel who kissed a medic to avoid the draft, to the ultimate bombshell whose private affairs shocked even her closest friends, these 20 legendary figures navigated love, desire, and authenticity in an industry that demanded conformity. Today, the vault opens on Hollywood's most carefully guarded secrets. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. You won't want to miss what we uncover next. Marlon Brando, the revolutionary who lived without limits. Marlon Brando didn't just revolutionize acting, he revolutionized how Hollywood understood desire itself. The man who brought raw sexuality to the silver screen in A Streetcar Named Desire lived his personal life with the same intensity he brought to his performances. Behind closed doors, Brando's romantic life defied every convention of 1950s America. His relationships spanned the spectrum of human connection, from passionate affairs with leading ladies to intimate encounters with some of Hollywood's most celebrated male stars. Friends described him as someone who loved without boundaries, who saw attraction as a force of nature rather than a social construct. In a 1976 interview, Brando spoke with characteristic bluntness about his experiences. He refused to apologize for loving whom he chose, stating that he had never paid attention to what people thought about his private life. This radical honesty made him both a target and a trailblazer. Quincy Jones later revealed that Brando approached relationships with an almost childlike curiosity, unencumbered by society's rigid definitions of sexuality. For Brando, love was about connection, not categories, a philosophy that was decades ahead of its time. James Dean, the rebel who refused to hide. James Dean's tragic death at 24 froze him forever in the public imagination as the ultimate rebel. But his greatest act of rebellion wasn't captured on film. It was how he lived his short, brilliant life without apology. When the Korean War threatened to derail his budding career, Dean found an unconventional solution. According to Hollywood gossip columnist Hedda Hopper, he avoided the draft by kissing the examining medic, a bold move that raised immediate questions about his sexuality. When pressed by reporters, Dean delivered a response that became legendary. "No, I'm not homosexual, but I'm also not going through life with one hand tied behind my back." This philosophy guided every aspect of Dean's existence. He formed deep connections with both men and women, viewing love as an exploration rather than a destination. Rumors connected him romantically to fellow rebel Marlon Brando, suggesting a relationship that burned as intensely as their on-screen personas. Dean's tragic death in September 1955 cut short not just a promising career, but a life lived on his own terms. His legacy remains a testament to the power of authenticity in an industry built on illusion. Josephine Baker, the pioneer who danced beyond boundaries. Josephine Baker shattered every barrier placed before her, racial, artistic, and romantic. The woman who became the first black performer to star in a major motion picture approached love with the same fearless innovation she brought to her revolutionary performances. Baker's most publicized relationship was with Mexican artist Frida Kahlo, a connection that transcended mere romance to become a meeting of artistic souls. Both women understood what it meant to be pioneers in their respective fields, and their relationship reflected a shared commitment to living authentically despite societal pressure. Beyond her artistic achievements, Baker's personal life reflected her broader philosophy of universal love and acceptance. She adopted children from around the world, creating what she called her rainbow tribe, and approached romantic relationships with similar openness. Her bisexuality was never a secret she felt compelled to hide, but rather another expression of her refusal to be limited by conventional expectations. In an era when such openness could destroy careers, Baker's honesty about her desires reflected the same courage that led her to become a spy for the French resistance. Baker's legacy extends far beyond entertainment. She proved that authenticity and success could coexist, even in the most challenging circumstances. Cary Grant, the leading man's hidden romance. Cary Grant epitomized the sophisticated leading man, but his greatest performance may have been the careful construction of his public persona. Behind the charm and wit lay a complex individual whose longest relationship was with someone the public never knew existed. For decades, Grant shared his life with Australian costume designer Ori Kelly, a relationship that began in poverty and persisted through Grant's rise to stardom. The two men met when Grant, then known as Archie Leach, was struggling to make ends meet in New York. Kelly, 7 years older and more established, offered both financial support and emotional stability. Their relationship survived Grant's transformation into a Hollywood icon, though it required careful navigation of an industry that demanded heterosexual appearances. Grant's 5 marriages became legendary for their brevity and dysfunction, leading many to speculate about the star's true preferences. Friends described the Grant-Kelly relationship as passionate but tumultuous, with arguments that could turn physical. Yet, despite the challenges, their connection endured for decades, outlasting most of Grant's marriages. Grant's ability to maintain this relationship while building one of Hollywood's most successful careers demonstrates the complex dance many stars performed between public expectation and private truth. Marlene Dietrich, the icon who owned her truth. Marlene Dietrich never pretended to be anything other than exactly who she was, a revolutionary act in 1930s Hollywood. The German-born star approached her sexuality with the same bold confidence she brought to her career, refusing to conform to anyone's expectations. Dietrich's marriage to film producer Rudolph Sieber provided social cover, but never limited her romantic explorations. She pursued relationships with both men and women with equal passion, viewing sexuality as another realm for artistic expression. Her affairs with leading ladies were as legendary as her romances with male co-stars. What set Dietrich apart was her refusal to hide. She wore tuxedos to premieres when women were expected to wear gowns, spoke openly about desire, and once declared, "I am at heart a gentleman." This wasn't rebellion for its own sake, but authentic self-expression in an industry built on artifice. Her daughter later revealed that Dietrich viewed her relationships with men as exercises in control and manipulation, while her connections with women provided genuine emotional satisfaction. This distinction reflected a sophisticated understanding of desire that was decades ahead of its time. Dietrich's legacy transcends entertainment. She proved that an artist could be commercially successful while living completely authentically. Spencer Tracy, the everyman's secret struggle. Spencer Tracy built his career playing quintessential American men, honest, straightforward, uncomplicated. But behind this carefully crafted image lay a man struggling to reconcile his public persona with his private desires. Tracy's marriage to Louise provided stability and social acceptance, but their relationship grew increasingly distant as his career flourished. They remained married due to Tracy's Catholic faith, but lived largely separate lives. This arrangement allowed Tracy to explore relationships that would have destroyed his everyman image. The revelation of Tracy's bisexuality came decades after his death, when Hollywood insider Scotty Bowers published his memoirs detailing the secret lives of Golden Age stars. According to Bowers, Tracy was a regular client who struggled deeply with his attractions to men. This internal conflict manifested in Tracy's legendary drinking problem and his tortured relationship with Katharine Hepburn. Their famous romance, celebrated as one of Hollywood's great love stories, was complicated by Tracy's hidden struggles with his identity. Tracy's story reflects the particular anguish of men who built careers on traditional masculinity while harboring desires that society deemed unacceptable. His professional success came at enormous personal cost. Joan Crawford, the star who controlled her narrative. Joan Crawford understood that survival in Hollywood required absolute control over one's image. The actress who terrorized her children behind closed doors while maintaining a perfect public facade applied the same ruthless discipline to managing rumors about her romantic life. Crawford's reputation as a man-eater served a dual purpose. It reinforced her heterosexual credentials while explaining away her failure to maintain long-term relationships with men. Behind this carefully constructed narrative lay a more complex truth about her desires and connections. Allegations surfaced after her death about relationships with fellow actresses, including Marilyn Monroe, Barbara Stanwyck, and several lesser-known performers. These relationships reportedly provided Crawford with the emotional intimacy that her public romances failed to deliver. What made Crawford unique was her understanding of image as a tool. She crafted her public persona with the same meticulous attention she brought to her film performances, never allowing cracks to show. This control extended to her romantic life, where she reportedly maintained strict separation between public and private desires. Crawford's approach reflected a sophisticated understanding of celebrity survival. She gave the public what they expected while protecting her authentic self from scrutiny. Tyrone Power, the heartthrob's hidden heart. Tyrone Power possessed the kind of devastating good looks that made women swoon and men envious. His swashbuckling roles in films like The Mark of Zorro established him as the epitome of romantic leading men. But Power's true romantic life bore little resemblance to his on-screen adventures. According to Hollywood insider Scotty Bowers, Power's preference for male companionship was an open secret among his close friends. Despite his reputation as a ladies' man and his marriages to 2 actresses, Power found his deepest connections with men. Power's relationship with Cesar Romero was particularly significant, representing more than casual encounters. The 2 men shared a bond that extended beyond physical attraction to genuine emotional connection. Romero later confirmed that Power lived a double life, maintaining his heterosexual image while pursuing meaningful relationships with men. The pressure of maintaining this facade took its toll on Power. Friends described a man who seemed perpetually exhausted by the performance his career demanded. His sudden death from a heart attack at 58 ended what many close to him described as a life of beautiful sadness. Power's story illuminates the personal cost of living authentically in an inauthentic industry. Vincent Price, the horror master's gentle truth. Vincent Price built his career on playing villains and monsters, but those who knew him described a gentle, cultured man whose greatest horror was living inauthentically. The actor who terrified audiences in countless films approached his personal life with remarkable openness and honesty. Price's 3 marriages reflected his genuine affection for women, but his relationships with men provided a different kind of fulfillment. His daughter Victoria, herself gay, became his closest confidant about these relationships. Price's support for his daughter's sexuality reflected his own understanding of love's complexities. What distinguished Price from many of his contemporaries was his willingness to discuss his experiences honestly with those he trusted. He never saw his attraction to both men and women as a source of shame, but rather as evidence of humanity's capacity for diverse forms of love. Scotty Bowers confirmed that Price was among his regular clients, describing an actor who approached these encounters with characteristic intelligence and curiosity. Price viewed sexuality as another realm for exploration, much like the art and cooking that occupied his leisure time. Price's legacy extends beyond his film work. He demonstrated that it was possible to live with integrity even within Hollywood's constraints. Marilyn Monroe, the bombshell's secret desires. Marilyn Monroe remains the ultimate symbol of heterosexual desire, her image forever frozen as the blonde bombshell who captivated the world. But behind the carefully constructed persona lay a woman whose romantic life was far more complex than her public image suggested. Monroe's marriages to Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller were highly publicized, but according to those close to her, these relationships failed to provide the emotional intimacy she craved. Her connections with women offered something different: understanding, gentleness, and freedom from the performance that defined her public existence. Former lovers and confidants revealed that Monroe found particular comfort in relationships with her acting coaches, Paula Strasberg and Natasha Lytis. These connections combined professional mentorship with personal intimacy, creating relationships that nurtured both her craft and her emotional needs. The revelation that Monroe preferred women reportedly contributed to her divorce from DiMaggio, who couldn't accept this aspect of his wife's identity. This rejection deepened Monroe's sense of isolation and contributed to the depression that ultimately consumed her. Monroe's story reveals the particular tragedy of someone whose authentic self was incompatible with their public image. She lived as a prisoner of her own fame. Tallulah Bankhead, the outrageous truth-teller. Tallulah Bankhead never met a convention she couldn't shatter. The Alabama-born actress approached both her career and her personal life with a fearlessness that left Hollywood scandalized and fascinated in equal measure. Bankhead's wit was legendary, but her honesty about sexuality was revolutionary. When asked about her romantic preferences, she delivered one of history's most memorable quotes. "I don't know what I am, darling. I've tried several varieties of sex. Going down on a woman gives me a stiff neck. Going down on a man gives me lockjaw, and conventional sex gives me claustrophobia." This characteristic irreverence masked a deeper truth about Bankhead's approach to love and desire. She refused to be categorized, preferring to describe herself as ambisextrous rather than adopt any limiting label. Her relationships with both men and women were pursued with equal passion and abandonment. Bankhead's openness about her desires was matched by her generosity in love. She mentored younger actresses, supported struggling artists, and maintained friendships that transcended romantic categories. Her home became a sanctuary for those who, like herself, lived outside society's narrow definitions. Bankhead proved that authenticity could be a form of rebellion, and rebellion could be a form of art. Danny Kaye, the comedian's secret romance. Danny Kaye brought joy to millions through his films and performances, but his greatest happiness came from a relationship the public never knew existed. The comedian's secret romance with Laurence Olivier became one of Hollywood's most carefully guarded secrets. Their relationship began during Olivier's visit to Hollywood in the late 1940s. What started as friendship between two accomplished performers evolved into something deeper and more meaningful. Kaye reportedly rented a house next to the Olivier and inserted himself into every aspect of their lives. Olivier's letters to his former wife Vivien Leigh, discovered decades later, revealed the depth of his connection with Kaye. The relationship sustained both men through difficult periods in their lives, providing emotional support that their marriages couldn't offer. Kaye's approach to the relationship reflected his understanding of discretion's necessity. He maintained his marriage while pursuing this connection with characteristic intelligence and care. The relationship survived for years, outlasting many of the conventional marriages in their social circle. This hidden romance illuminated the capacity for deep love between men in an era when such connections required absolute secrecy. Both men found ways to honor their feelings while protecting their careers. Clark Gable, the King's complicated crown. Clark Gable reigned as the King of Hollywood, but his path to the throne was paved with compromises and secrets that few suspected. The man who embodied masculine ideals on screen navigated a more complex reality behind the cameras. According to biographer David Brett, Gable's early career involved what was euphemistically termed gay for pay, sexual relationships with powerful men who could advance his career. This transactional approach to sexuality reflected the brutal realities of Hollywood's power structure, where ambitious young men did whatever was necessary to survive. As Gable's star rose, he developed a reputation for aggressively pursuing women, behavior that some interpreted as overcompensation for his earlier experiences. His 5 marriages and countless affairs seemed designed to reinforce his heterosexual credentials, but friends noted that these relationships often lacked genuine emotional depth. Gable's story reflects the particular complexity of actors who used sexuality as a tool for career advancement, then spent their lives trying to distance themselves from those choices. The King of Hollywood wore his crown uneasily, always aware of the compromises that had placed it on his head. His legacy remains complicated, a reminder that even the most seemingly secure stars built their success on carefully hidden foundations. Louise Brooks, the icon who lived for herself. Louise Brooks popularized the bob haircut and embodied the liberated spirit of the 1920s, but her greatest achievement was living entirely on her own terms. The silent film star approached sexuality with the same fearless independence she brought to every aspect of her life. Brooks was among the first actresses to speak openly about sexual liberation, viewing her body and her desires as her own property, rather than subjects for public judgment. She pursued relationships with both men and women with equal enthusiasm, considering sexual exploration a natural part of human experience. Her brief encounter with Greta Garbo became legendary, with Brooks later describing the mysterious star as masculine but charming and tender. This relationship, however brief, represented the kind of authentic connection that Brooks valued above conventional romance. Brooks cultivated friendships with lesbian and bisexual women throughout the film community, creating a network of support that sustained her through career difficulties. She understood that authenticity required community, people who accepted and celebrated rather than merely tolerated difference. Brooks's legacy extends beyond her films to her example of living without apology. She proved that an artist could maintain integrity even in an industry built on compromise. Judy Garland, The Rainbow's Hidden Colors. Judy Garland's voice could break hearts, but her own heart was broken by an industry that demanded perfection while providing little support. The woman who sang Over the Rainbow found her own rainbow in relationships that transcended traditional boundaries. Garland's connection with Katharine Hepburn, revealed in Darwin Porter's biography, provided the emotional understanding that her turbulent marriages failed to deliver. Both women understood the pressure of maintaining public personas while struggling with private pain. Her relationship with policewoman during the 1940s offered stability and protection that Garland desperately needed. This connection represented more than romance. It was a refuge from the constant demands of fame and the pressures of studio control. Garland's daughter, Liza Minnelli, later spoke about her mother's capacity for deep love regardless of gender, describing a woman who connected with souls rather than bodies. This spiritual approach to relationship sustained Garland through the darkest periods of her life. Garland's story illuminates the particular vulnerability of child stars who never learned healthy relationship patterns. Her bisexuality represented not confusion, but an expanded capacity for love in a life marked by extraordinary pain. Sir Alec Guinness, The Night's Secret Burden. Sir Alec Guinness brought dignity and intelligence to every role he played, but his greatest performance was maintaining his carefully constructed public image while harboring a secret that could have destroyed his career and reputation. Guinness's arrest for homosexual conduct in 1946 marked a turning point in his life. Rather than embrace his authentic self, he chose the path of concealment, spending the rest of his life carefully managing his public persona. This decision reflected both the harsh realities of the era and Guinness's particular relationship with his Catholic faith. His family and close friends were aware of his bisexuality, but Guinness never spoke publicly about his experiences or desires. This silence represented both protection and imprisonment. He preserved his career, but sacrificed authentic self-expression. The revelation of Guinness's sexuality after his death sparked discussions about the costs of concealment. Those who knew him described a man of extraordinary kindness and intelligence who carried the burden of his secret with characteristic grace. Guinness's story reflects the experiences of countless performers who chose professional success over personal authenticity. His knighthood represented public recognition of his artistic achievements, but also symbolized the perfect performance of respectability. Barbara Stanwyck, the professional's private truth. Barbara Stanwyck built her reputation on being Hollywood's consummate professional, an actress who delivered powerful performances without drama or scandal. But her carefully controlled public image concealed a private life that defied every expectation. Stanwyck's 2 marriages were reportedly arranged by studios to counter persistent rumors about her sexuality. Both unions were brief and marked by emotional distance, suggesting relationships maintained for appearance rather than genuine affection. Her true emotional life remained hidden from public view. Biographer Axel Madsen later claimed that Stanwyck was Hollywood's biggest closeted lesbian, though others suggested she was bisexual. Tallulah Bankhead confirmed they had shared an intimate relationship, describing a connection that provided both women with understanding and comfort. What made Stanwyck remarkable was her ability to maintain absolute privacy about her personal life while building one of Hollywood's most successful careers. She understood that survival required compartmentalization. Professional excellence and personal authenticity could coexist only if they remained separate. Stanwyck's legacy extends beyond her film work to her mastery of celebrity survival. She proved that it was possible to maintain integrity while protecting one's most vulnerable truths from public scrutiny. Charles Laughton, the character actor's hidden character. Charles Laughton's powerful performances as complex, often tormented characters may have drawn from his own experience navigating the gap between public expectation and private truth. The British actor's marriage to actress Elsa Lancaster provided both companionship and cover for his relationships with men. Laughton and Lancaster maintained an unusual but effective partnership that honored both their professional ambitions and personal needs. She understood and accepted his sexuality, while he provided the social protection that allowed her own unconventional career to flourish. According to Scotty Bowers, Laughton was among his regular clients, seeking connections that his marriage couldn't provide. These relationships offered not just physical satisfaction, but emotional understanding from others who shared similar experiences and challenges. Laughton's single effort as a director, The Night of the Hunter, revealed an artist capable of extraordinary vision and sensitivity. Some critics have suggested that his understanding of hidden desires and secret motivations informed his ability to create such psychologically complex work. Laughton's story represents a successful navigation of Hollywood's demands while maintaining personal authenticity within carefully chosen relationships. His marriage to Lancaster became a model for partnerships that honored both public necessity and private truth. Randolph Scott, the cowboy's unconventional partnership. Randolph Scott epitomized the strong, silent Western hero, but his most significant relationship was with fellow actor Cary Grant. Their decades-long partnership became one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries, hidden in plain sight through careful presentation as mere friendship. Scott and Grant met while filming Hot Saturday in 1932 and subsequently lived together on and off for 12 years. Their shared residence, nicknamed Bachelor Hall, became legendary in Hollywood circles for its atmosphere of masculine camaraderie that may have concealed deeper intimacy. Photographs of the two men suggest a comfort and familiarity that extended beyond typical friendship. Their body language and expressions revealed an ease with each other that contrasted sharply with their more formal interactions with women. Scotty Bowers confirmed that both men, despite their marriages, maintained their relationship throughout their lives. This connection survived career pressures, geographical separations, and the constant scrutiny that came with fame. Scott's ability to maintain this relationship while building a successful career in westerns, a genre that celebrated traditional masculinity, demonstrated remarkable skill in navigating Hollywood's contradictory demands. His legacy includes not just his films, but his example of finding authentic love within an inauthentic industry. Ethel Waters. The Groundbreakers Partnership. Ethel Waters broke barriers as the first African-American woman to star in her own television show, but her most revolutionary act was living openly with her partner in an era when such relationships were dangerous for anyone and potentially career-ending for a black performer. Waters' relationship with fellow performer Ethel Williams represented both personal fulfillment and professional risk. The two women performed together as the Two Ethels, creating art from their authentic connection while carefully managing public perception of their relationship. Their partnership provided Waters with the emotional stability that sustained her through the challenges of being a pioneering black performer in a racist industry. Williams understood the unique pressures Waters faced and provided both personal support and professional collaboration. Waters' willingness to live authentically while building her groundbreaking career demonstrated extraordinary courage. She faced multiple forms of discrimination and chose to add another layer of potential persecution rather than compromise her personal truth. Her legacy extends beyond her artistic achievements to her example of refusing to compartmentalize her identity. Waters proved that authenticity and professional success could coexist, even under the most challenging circumstances. The stories of these 20 performers reveal a hidden history of Hollywood, one where love transcended gender, where authenticity battled against public expectation, and where some of the industry's greatest talents paid enormous personal costs for their professional success. Each of these individuals navigated the treacherous waters between public image and private truth in their own way. Some, like Marlene Dietrich and Tallulah Bankhead, chose radical honesty, refusing to hide their authentic selves regardless of consequences. Others, like Tracy and Alec Guinness, carried their secrets as heavy burdens, finding love and connection while maintaining carefully constructed facades. What emerges from these stories is not just a catalog of hidden relationships, but a testament to the human capacity for love in all its forms. These performers found ways to honor their authentic selves, even within an industry that demanded conformity. They created families of choice, built supportive communities, and demonstrated that genuine connection could survive even the most challenging circumstances. Their legacy reminds us that behind every carefully crafted image lies a complex human being deserving of love, understanding, and the freedom to live authentically. In sharing their stories, we honor not just their artistic contributions, but their courage in living as fully as possible within the constraints of their time. If these hidden histories fascinated you, subscribe for more untold stories from Hollywood's golden age. Share this video with someone who appreciates the complexity behind the glamour. Until next time, remember that every legend was once simply human, searching for love and understanding in an often unforgiving world.